It's 2024, and I've spent well over the past 6 months using the iPhone 15 Pro Max, and now that the S24 Ultra is out, I'm going to break down what really differentiates them and ultimately which one I think is the better phone. First, let's look at the S24 Ultra and its advantages. Coming in at number 1, the display. This display can go as bright as 1600 nits compared to the 2000 nits of peak brightness the 15 Pro Max has. But the even more important difference to me has been the anti-glare coating. Samsung partnered with Corning to develop a better glass material called Gorilla Glass Armor. It's 4 times more scratch resistant and 3 times better with drops. And if rumors are to be believed, the iPhone won't be getting similar glass from Corning until next year's iPhone 17 models. Ouch. Coming in at the number 2 best feature for the S24 Ultra is Galaxy AI. Galaxy AI is a suite of features that actually turned out to be pretty useful and includes things like Circle the Search, where you tap the bottom bar of the phone and then circle anything you want to Google search. You also have translation in messages as well as call translations, perfect for when you're traveling or have family members or friends who speak different languages. Samsung also added a photo editing feature similar to Google's Magic Editor called Generative Edit, which allows you to remove parts of an image and move around and resize objects. This is a feature Apple just still doesn't have an answer for, which is kind of surprising given the superior processing power you get with the chips Apple puts on their iPhones. But let me know what you think. What do you think of these AI features? Does Apple really seem that far behind? Let me know in the comments. Samsung AI also brought us Photomoji, which is similar to the stickers feature Apple rolled out with the iPhone 15 Pro models last September. Coming in at number 3 is the S Pen, which continues to be one of the most unique features you get with the Ultra series of phones. It gives you another way to interact with your phone. It makes Circle the Search feel a bit more precise, gives you the ability to handwrite notes, auto-convert that to text, handwrite in the UI, and use as a camera remote. Coming in at number 4 is One UI, which is Samsung's version of Android that this phone runs. One UI is just flat out a more customizable and flexible operating system than iOS. You get multitasking split views, edge panels, where you can save your favorite apps to drag out into the multitasking view, and you can customize the OS to your heart's content with Samsung's Good Lock app. I've customized the multitasking view and increased the volume steps past Android's default to make it more like iOS's pretty much infinite volume steps. You also have Samsung DeX, which I haven't really ever found a use for, but I like the idea in theory of being able to turn your phone into a computer by just hooking it up to a monitor. Android also has notification channels. With iOS notifications, a lot of the time you either allow all notifications or none for an app, where Android gives you more granular control over the type of notifications that you want to allow through. Speaking of iOS, because the S24 Ultra's OS is so customizable, you can actually download a launcher which will make your phone look and feel pretty much exactly like iOS. And because it runs Android, you can download apps outside of Google's App Store, which really gives it its own advantage over iOS, so yes, I'm gonna make that advantage number 5. Alright, and the last advantage I'd give to the S24 Ultra is its better integration with Samsung and Windows devices. It has a slightly more expansive integration for the Windows PC users via the PhoneLink app, where you can not only view notifications and respond to messages and calls like you can with an iPhone, but you can also view photos, control media playback, set your phone to silent, and group messaging is supported with Android devices. And of course, if you have other Samsung products like a tablet, earbuds, smartwatch, etc., those are all going to work really well with the S24 Ultra and not the iPhone. And the inverse is of course the case with Apple's other products and the S24 Ultra. Now, what about the camera systems? Honestly, they're both pretty good in their own right, though there are some differences you will notice between the two. I've found the S24 Ultra's color science skews a bit warmer than the 15 Pro Max's, and the S24's video is also less noisy at 5x. Overall, the S24, it has a bit more saturation and deeper colors like in the sky compared to the iPhone, and its images are typically a bit sharper than the iPhones as well. The 15 Pro Max, however, seems to shoot with a lower aperture, giving photos slightly better depth of field. videos captured on the Samsung always start off black for a second, which is kind of annoying. Video quality overall, I'd still give to the iPhone, especially when you factor in you can now shoot ProRes log natively. With the S24 Ultra, you're gonna have to use a third-party app to get anything similar. As far as selfies go, the S24 Ultra's low-light selfies do look better than the iPhones, but in daylight, both phones are pretty good. So to me, the camera systems are a bit of a toss-up. Sometimes I prefer the look of the S24 Ultra's photos, and then other times I like the iPhones better. Alright, so that's the camera systems. We've covered the advantages of the S24. Now let's look at the iPhone. But before we do, no matter which one of these phones you end up choosing, if you want to listen to a podcast on either one, there's really only one choice for that, and that's Pocket Casts. I've relied on Pocket Casts for the past several years as my top podcast player, and I can't live without it. Pocket Casts comes with an array of powerful features like cross-platform syncing, where you can seamlessly switch between devices and keep your place in a podcast. And because Pocket Casts is available on almost every platform, it's perfect for somebody like me who has a lot of tech devices in different ecosystems. They also have features that can save you time, like customizable skip buttons and trim silence, which automatically skips the silent parts of a podcast. And not only can you download podcast episodes, but you can customize certain podcasts to download new episodes automatically and be placed in your queue. Pocket Casts makes it easy to organize podcasts with filters. For example, I have a tech and business filter and another for news and politics. Plus, I love how much control you get for not only what episodes show up in your up next queue and in what order, but the app also features a changeable appearance. With a variety of themes and customizable buttons at the bottom of the player, you can even change the app icon to a different design, like Pocket Cats, my personal favorite. With its robust features, customizations, and wide availability, Pocket Cats truly elevates your podcast listening experience. So what are you waiting for? Download Pocket Casts today for free by using the link in the description below. And thanks to Pocket Casts for sponsoring this video. Alright, now let's take a look at the iPhone 15 Pro Max and its advantages. Coming in at number 1 is weight and size. The 15 Pro Max weighs just 221 grams compared to the S24 Ultra's 233 grams, and while both use titanium, Apple was able to use that material to reduce the phone's overall weight from the previous generation. Even though these two phone screens are about the same size, when you hold them in your hand, the iPhone just does not feel as big as the S24 Ultra, probably due to the iPhone's rounded corners. Moving on, the number 2 advantage for this iPhone is Apple's ecosystem. Now, while yes, Samsung can do a lot of the cross-device syncing features that are part of the Apple ecosystem, the thing that differentiates Apple and its ecosystem still is the way Apple approaches implementing these features by making them, frankly, easier to use and more intuitive. With Apple devices, you just sign into your iCloud account on all of your devices, and features like handoff, continuity, it all just works. With Samsung, they're reliant on their partnerships with Google and Microsoft for everything to work, which just adds a bit more friction into that experience. You have to download additional apps and fiddle around with settings in order to get feature parity with Apple's ecosystem working properly. Apple also deeply integrates services like Apple Music, Fitness Plus, iMessage, and others across their devices. And while some of these services like Apple Music are available on Android, many are not. When you take those and combine them with Apple's ecosystem features and class-leading hardware products like the iPad, the Apple Watch, AirPods, when you add all of that together, it makes a pretty compelling ecosystem that, in my opinion, Samsung right now can't compete with. Now, I know I'm just one opinion out there, and if you have thoughts on these ecosystems and which one has worked better for you, let me know down in the comments. The next advantage you get with the 15 Pro Max is the new Action button. It allows you to quickly get to a specific action like opening up the camera, flashlight, or trigger a shortcut, which are these powerful iOS automations that can do different things on your phone based on context, and I'll leave a link to the custom one I've made in the description. The number 4 advantage I give the iPhone 15 Pro Max is video quality, for 2 reasons. One, it can now shoot Apple Log, which lets you shoot way better video out of the iPhone and allows you more flexibility when color grading the footage the way you want. Second, the iPhone has a smoother zoom in and out when you're switching between camera lenses while shooting video. The number 5 advantage I'd give to the iPhone 15 Pro Max is iOS. There are just a few things iOS just does better than Android, like Apple's weather app, which is just gorgeous and the best default one I've used. Plus, you can pair it with a dynamic weather background, which makes it impossible not to know what the weather is outside when you're looking at your phone. I've also found widgets to be more aesthetically consistent compared to the ones I can add to my home screen on the S24 Ultra by default. And then there's the dynamic island, which, while yes, you can download some things that mimic what it does on the S24, but what's great about it with the iPhone 15 Pro Max is it creates a persistent place to tap and get to anything important that's running in the background. That, paired with iOS's live activities, which stay on the lock screen for things like an upcoming order delivery, timer, or sports scores, these are features that are just much better thought out and implemented on the iPhone 15 Pro Max's software versus the S24 Ultras. Alright, now let's talk about which phone I think is ultimately better. And if we just set aside the ecosystems for a second and look at these phones from a hardware and software standpoint, I do think the S24 Ultra is the better phone, even when you consider the iPhone's superior processor. The S24 Ultra's better screen is going to matter to more people, and from the software side, it's more flexible than iOS, and Apple doesn't get to control what you want to download to your phone. Now, here's where things get a bit interesting though. These two phones, they don't live in a vacuum. They live in an ecosystem of other devices. For me at least, if we have to consider ecosystems, the iPhone is a better choice, even if the S24 Ultra beats it in some of the hardware categories. If you have a Mac, the iPhone will work better with that, and same thing with an iPad, same thing with AirPods. And it's kind of funny, although maybe somewhat annoying, how big of a difference the ecosystems can make in what smartphone you decide to choose nowadays. And if you want to see more of my thoughts on the Android versus iPhone ecosystem battle, you can check out the video I did on that topic here. And for more videos on Apple and Samsung products and comparisons between them, check out the links in the description below. If you liked this video and found it helpful, make sure you hit that thumbs up button below and don't forget to subscribe for more. For 6 months later, I'm Josh Tedder. Thanks for watching.